At 2 in the morning, I was woken up by a knocking sound, almost opening the door for a dead person. The clear knocking came, and I cautiously got out of bed, carefully crossing the dark living room. When I reached the entrance, I put my eye to the peephole. The hallway light was dim, and Aunt Lee from next door stood outside with a vacant look in her eyes, and her facial expression was very strange. The corners of her mouth were curved upward in a strange arc, as if measured precisely with a ruler. Xiaoyan, are you asleep?
Sorry, I wanted to make a late-night snack, but I just ran out of rice. Can I borrow some? Aunt Lee's voice was incredibly strange, completely different from usual, and her excuse was very awkward. Who borrows rice at 2 in the morning?
My hand hesitated on the door lock, but just then, my phone in my pocket started vibrating intensely. I quickly pulled back my hand and took out my phone. The neighborhood group chat with hundreds of members showed 99 unread messages. Don't open the door. Whatever you do, don't open it. I just looked through the peephole. It really is Aunt Lee, but she's been smiling the whole time. It's so creepy. Everyone stay calm. Keep quiet. Remember not to open the door. Remember not to respond. Absolutely do not respond.
Mrs. Wang, are you sure? I find it hard to understand. Why is the group so lively this late? What's going on with Auntie Leah? Although knocking on the door in the middle of the night is indeed strange, it's just borrowing some rice, isn't it? Could it be that Auntie Lee knocked on every door in the building?
I hadn't had time to ask when the next message exploded before my eyes like a thunderclap. Yes, absolutely certain. My husband is an anesthesiologist at the hospital. Aunt Wang had a sudden heart attack last night, and it was my husband who was responsible for the resuscitation. She was already gone. Then, who was knocking on my door just now?
Oh my god, in the middle of the night. Don't scare me. Shouldn't we report this immediately? Aunt Lee passed away last night, so who is just a door away from me now?
That kind of stiff expression is something no normal person could make. Could it really be? I broke out in a cold sweat, looking at the peephole again in disbelief. Aunt Lee was still in the same position, motionless like a wax figure, with no change in her expression or tone. Xiaoyan, open the door. I just want to borrow some rice. I suddenly stepped back a few steps, my back hitting the wall. The knocking on the door sounded again, and I remembered the neighbors in the group chat saying not to respond no matter what. I immediately covered my mouth tightly, but the knocking on the door outside didn't stop. I curled up on the ground, forcing myself to calm down, and my phone went dark from inactivity. But the words from the WeChat group were deeply imprinted in my mind. Aunt Lee is dead. The one outside the door is not human, and I almost opened the door just now. I put my phone on silent and tried to move as quietly as possible, but the knocking outside didn't lessen at all due to my caution. The knocking would sound 3 times, pause for 3 seconds, and then repeat with the same force over and over. The person outside seemed unconcerned about the situation inside, just repeatedly asking to borrow rice. However, this repetition itself carried an inhuman terror. I cautiously approached the peephole again, and Aunt Lee was still standing there, her posture unchanged, only the rigid smile on her face distorted by the peephole, making it especially frightening. At this moment, I suddenly realized, has she been watching me all along, observing me through the peephole? Thinking of this, I quickly looked away, not daring to look again, and curled back down by the door, typing in the residence group to ask, what's going on?
Aunt Lee is knocking on my door right now. As soon as the message was sent, there was a response. Xiaoyan, don't open the door. I can guarantee Aunt Lee is no longer alive. My husband personally issued her death certificate. Since midnight tonight, several of us have had someone knocking on our doors. Hang in there, brother. She just knocked on my door too, for more than half an hour. I held back and didn't dare to respond. And finally, she left.
Young man, hang in there. I've already reported to the uncle and they're on their way. They also said to ensure our own safety first, lock the door and stay quiet. Don't panic and definitely don't provoke her. According to feedback from other neighbors, if she doesn't get a response, she might leave on her own after a while. But you must make sure all doors and windows are securely locked. Although the knocking continues, seeing this message, I feel like I see hope. Time passes second by second and every second feels so long.
5 minutes, 10 minutes. The knocking frequency finally began to thin out, and the force seemed to lighten a lot. Then the knocking abruptly stopped, and outside the door fell into a dead silence. I moved as quietly as possible, carefully pressing my ear against the door to listen closely. No footsteps, no breathing, nothing at all. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. After waiting like this for 2 minutes, there was still no sound outside. I thought she had left. The immense fear was a sense of powerlessness after surviving a disaster. I was gasping for breath and realized that my whole body was drenched in cold sweat. I just picked up my phone to tell everyone in the group that she had left. Just then,